Romeo and Juliet. This is the story of the love of Romeo and Juliet. Romeo was the son of Lord Montague, the head of the Montague family. Juliet was the daughter of Lord Capulet. The Montagues and the Capulets were two important families in the city of Verona who had had a terrible quarrel. Even their servants hated each other, and they fought and cursed each other whenever they met. One day, two servants from the house of Capulet saw two servants from the house of Montague, and they began to fight. Benvolio, a friend of Romeo, saw the fight. He liked peace and quiet, so he hated to see people fighting. "Stop!" he cried, but it was already too late. Tybalt, a young and angry Capulet, had arrived in the street. "Help me to stop this fight!" Benvolio cried to him. Tybalt pulled out his sword. "I hate all Montagues, and I hate you!" he cried, and he began to fight Benvolio. The noise and the shouting brought officers of the law to the scene of the fight. Then Lord Capulet and his wife arrived, and Lord Montague and his wife. The heads of the two families pulled out their swords. Suddenly, Prince Escalus, the Prince of Verona, appeared. "You men, you are like wild animals," he said to them angrily. "Your quarrels spoil the quiet of our streets. Listen to me. If you make trouble in the streets of Verona again, you will pay for it with your lives. Now, everyone must leave this place." Lord and Lady Montague and Benvolio left last. "Where is Romeo?" asked Lady Montague. "I am very glad that he did not take part in this fight." "Very early this morning," Benvolio said, "I could not sleep. I walked out into the woods on the west of the city, and I saw Romeo there, alone. I went towards him, but when he saw me, he hid among the trees. I decided not to follow him." Romeo's father, Lord Montague, said, "Many people have seen Romeo early in the morning, weeping alone. When the sun comes up, he goes into his room and he shuts out the daylight. I am afraid for him." "Do you know why he is unhappy?" Benvolio asked. "He will not tell me," Lord Montague replied. "Look, here he comes," said Benvolio. "Go home. I will try to find out why he is unhappy." He quickly learned the reason for Romeo's sadness. "I love the beautiful Rosaline, but she does not love me," Romeo said. Benvolio tried to help his good friend. "Forget her. Don't think about her," he said. "How can I forget her?" Romeo asked. "Look around you. Look at other beautiful women." "When I look at other women, I see that Rosaline is the most beautiful of all." In another street in Verona, Count Paris was talking to Lord Capulet, Juliet's father. Paris was the prince's nephew. "I would like to marry Juliet. What do you say?" Paris asked. "She is my only child, and she is too young," said Capulet. "Let 2 more summers pass before she marries. But you can speak to her and try to win her love. Every year at this time, I give a great feast. It will take place tonight. All my friends will come to my house and dance. You must come too. Then you can talk to Juliet." Capulet called a servant and said, "On this piece of paper there is a list of names. Find these people and ask them to come to dinner at my house tonight." Then he walked away with Paris. This is going to be quite difficult for me, because I cannot read, the servant thought. Benvolio and Romeo came along the street. They were still talking about Romeo's unhappiness. "Please, sir, can you read?" Capulet's servant asked. He gave Romeo the list of names. Romeo read out the list for him. Martino and his wife and daughters, Anselm and his beautiful sisters, Mercutio and his brother Valentine, Lucio and Helena, Rosaline. Where are these people going to meet? At my master's house tonight, the servant said. Who is your master? Romeo asked. My master is the great and rich Lord Capulet. If you are not a Montague, come and drink wine with us all. This is the chance I wanted for you, said Benvolio happily. Go there, compare your Rosaline with other women. You will see that she is not more beautiful than them. You are wrong, Romeo replied. Since the world began, the sun has never seen a woman as beautiful as Rosaline. I will go to the Capulets' feast, but only to look at Rosaline. Juliet was with her mother, Lady Capulet, and her nurse. You were a pretty little baby when I came here, said the nurse. Now I have one wish. I want to live long enough to see you married. I want to talk to you about marriage, Lady Capulet said to her daughter. Juliet, do you want to find a husband? I have not thought about it very much, answered Juliet. Here in Verona, younger girls are already important ladies and mothers. I will tell you now that Count Paris hopes to win your love. He is a fine man, almost a perfect man, cried the nurse. He is the finest man in Verona. You will see him tonight at our feast, Lady Capulet said. He needs a wife, and you will make his life complete. The evening came. Romeo and his friends, Mercutio and Benvolio, put on hats to hide their faces and went to the feast at the Capulets' house. But Tybalt heard Romeo's voice. I know that voice, he said. That man is a Montague. What is he doing here? He called to his servant. Fetch my sword. What is the matter? Asked Lord Capulet. That man is a Montague. He is our enemy. Is it young Romeo? Yes, Tybalt said. Let him stay. The people of Verona say that he is a good young man, and he is behaving like a gentleman tonight. Don't look so angry. We must entertain our guests. Tybalt was very angry, but he had to obey his uncle. At that moment, something wonderful happened to Romeo. He saw a beautiful girl. She was lovely, sweet, happy, and good. As he watched her, he forgot about Rosaline. Now he was truly, deeply in love. He went to her and touched her hand. Your hand is too soft for my rough touch, he said. But my lips are ready to touch your gentle hand with a kiss. He kissed her hand. You have lips, too, he said. Juliet found that she was in love with him, and so they kissed. The nurse came to them. Your mother wants to speak to you, she said to Juliet. Who is her mother? Asked Romeo. Her mother is Lady Capulet, the nurse replied. Oh no, Romeo thought. I have fallen in love with the daughter of my enemy. Everyone began to leave, and Romeo went with them. Juliet watched him go. Come here, nurse, she said. "Who is that gentleman over there? Go and ask his name." The nurse came back and said, "His name is Romeo. He is a Montague, the only son of your great enemy." Later that same night, Romeo's friends searched the streets of Verona for him. Romeo was standing below Juliet's lighted window when he saw her there. "It is Juliet," he said quietly. "Oh, it is my love. She is as beautiful as the sun in the sky. She is looking up at the stars, but her eyes are brighter than they are. The birds will see them and think that it is already daytime." Juliet looked out of her window and rested her face on her hand. She was thinking of Romeo. She did not know that he was there, listening. "Oh, Romeo, Romeo, why is your name Romeo?" she said. "Leave your family and change your name. If you cannot, I will leave the Capulets. It is only your name that is my enemy. But what is important about a name? If a rose had another name, it would still smell sweet. Change your name so we can be together." "Call me Love," Romeo called up to her. "That will be my name. I will never be Romeo again. I hate my name because it is your enemy." "How did you get there?" Juliet asked. "The walls are high." "Stone walls cannot keep out love," Romeo said. Juliet was afraid. "If my family see you here, they will kill you," she said. "If their hatred ends my life," said Romeo, "then I will die. I do not care. I do not want to live without your love." "Do you love me? I know that you will say yes, but tell me the truth." "Lady, I promise by the moon that touches the tops of those fruit trees with silver." "Oh, don't promise by the moon," Juliet said. "The moon changes every month. I do not want your love to change like the moon." "What shall I promise by?" Romeo asked. "Do not promise. You make me happy, but this love has come very suddenly. I must go now." "No, wait," Romeo cried. At that moment, the nurse called. "I can hear a noise," said Juliet. "Sweet Romeo, stay here for a moment. I will come back." She went inside, but soon she returned. "Dear Romeo," she said, "if you truly love me and wish to marry me, send a message tomorrow. I will send someone to collect your message. Tell me where and at what time you will marry me, and my life will be yours. I will follow you, my lord, across the world." The nurse called again. Juliet went in and then came out again. "Romeo?" "My sweet?" "At what time tomorrow shall I send someone to you?" she asked. "At 9 o'clock, Romeo replied. "My messenger will find you. It is almost morning, so I must let you go. Good night. Good night. I am sad to leave you, but it is a sweet sadness. I will not stop saying good night until tomorrow."